Okay, so this is KJ, and this is the academic mixtape, and I have the wonderful Kesra Allie. Stop laughing. She's in the studio, everyone. Make some noise. Woo! Okay, all right, okay. So, Kesra, as you know, as part of the mixtape, we're thinking about university life, right? Couldn't be that, wasn't that long ago for you?
It was like last year.
Like last year, exactly, of course. So we're really thinking about, you know, the university experience, what it was like for you at university, with a view to helping other people, to kind of motivate other students, really, and to kind of help them with the struggle, because sometimes university brings struggle, right?
Yep.
So what I want to ask you was like, what did you do at university? What was your degree in? Where did you study? That kind of thing.
Okay, so my university life was as interesting as every aspect of my life has been. Very colourful. So I left college knowing that I wanted to do something with drama, so something with acting. I had an audition booked for the Central School of Speech and Drama.
What's that? So it's a mouthful.
Central School of Speech and Drama. So it's one of those, you know, really good drama schools.
Okay.
And even in school, I remember one of my friends in, you know, one of my classes, she actually left the school to go over to there's like an acting school that everybody,
the Brit school.
That's it.
Okay.
And I remember going, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, Brit school.
How come my mum didn't tell me about this? You know, my mum was never really into that. She kind of
like
was,
Adele went, and I think
all of those.
I think Estelle was the.
And I remember going, oh, I wish I could have done it.
Jessie J. Yeah. A lot of people pass through. Yeah.
A lot of people that I think even have been on EastEnders a bit, and I was like, wow, she went to do that, and I was like, oh, I wish that I knew about it. I think she left when she was like 14, and she would have done, you know, stayed there and would have like finished school out there. So I felt like, okay, that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, because I didn't know what I needed to do to even get there without the guidance of your parents or whatever. So I said, okay, when I leave school, I will go on to study at college, and I will do some kind of drama course at university level. So at college, I went on to do my drama and performance studies, loved it. But then when I had my audition for the Central School of Speech and Drama, I didn't show up.
Why? Why not?
Because I was like, oh, they're not going to take me.
So imposter syndrome set in, right?
Yeah, I felt like, oh, there would have been so many other people there that were either groomed, like they've either gone to the Brit or gone to certain, you know, and they would have been groomed, and they were, you know when you see those what is it, not Fame, but you know, you see those films and you see that person that doesn't quite fit in, and everybody else are ballerinas, and they're all getting ready for the audition, and they're about to do it, and you make a complete, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, of yourself. Yeah. So I thought it was going to be like that, and I didn't have, I just was lacking the confidence, because I had so many people doubting, oh, why do you want to do that? Oh, you're going to be, you know, within even the family, and you just were a bit, I always felt like I was a bit too scared to say what I really wanted to do or who I felt like I was.
Okay.
Because what, maybe you think you're too nice to do that or whatever, I don't know. There was just a lot of negativity, and I remember even to the closest people in my family member saying, oh, I wanted to be an actress when I think I was still in school, and the response back, and I don't know if this person even remembers saying that, they were like, well, all those type of people are prostitutes, so basically you're just going to be a prostitute anyway. You'd have to steep your way to the top.
Wow.
So I was like, oh!
So there was this image of the industry that in order to succeed, you're going to have to... Okay.
It's either that you're going to be crazy talented.
The casting couch.
Or you're going to be crazy talented, and maybe all the doors open for you that way. But if you weren't as crazy talented, or maybe you might have to do something.
Certain things.
Because they all do it. They're all... This was like, you know, they're all either on drugs and sleeping their way to the top. This was years ago that was said. Obviously, I was like literally in secondary school. I remember feeling so hurt, but it was a lot of confidence knocking. So I didn't show up to the audition. Instead, I went to Roehampton University, lovely university.
Okay.
Very far. It took me 2 hours every day to get there, which is very draining. 2 hours there, 2 hours back, to study drama and performance studies instead. Now, I met some amazing people. My coursework was pretty good. Like, I like learning. So even like learning, you know, some of the Greek tragedies, and loved all of that. Like, that was great. However, I wasn't getting what I really wanted, which was to act.
Was that kind of safe? Was that like a
It was safe. I
option?
self-sabotaged.
Okay.
It was safe. I was like, I get to sit there and hide and not really procrastinate a little bit and not really, you know, do what I actually want to do, because I feel like maybe I'm not good enough to do it. So I didn't.
Okay.
I stayed there for a year and a half, and it's like, I mean, in the first term we were there, we had 10 courseworks to do. And I was like, oh, this is not, where is that? Like, I thought it would be a little bit, I didn't really do much research into it, because I was really wanting to have that experience over there, but I just wasn't feeling like I was good enough to do that. So I had not a serious car accident, let me just say it, but I had a car accident. I hurt my lower back. And obviously the normal whiplash that you would have. And I remember feeling so depressed, like, ugh, what am I even doing? Like, what is this? I don't really like this. I can't even get to the class because I'm in such pain. What am I doing this for? So that kind of brought about the changeover, and I decided to actually have a shift in my study, and I could study something completely different.
And what was it? So what was this new study?
So I am very business orientated, and at the time I had a partner. We were very young, and partner was just boyfriend, but he was very business orientated, and he was a leader. So he would kind of be like, right, so I'm doing this. I'm like, wow, I want to get involved in this. And at the time, the business that he was really interested in was events management.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. And I've worked in retail from the age of 15. So I have that, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. Like, I've got the gift of the gab kind of thing. So it was kind of his drive, that whole, you can do anything you want to do. Like, you should have just gone for the Central, School of Speech and Drama, like, audition. If, had maybe he had been an influence, is kind of like, I would have pushed you to do it. And that was the relationship kind of made me kind of go for things that maybe would have been a bit more out of my comfort zone. But one of those things was we threw events. We would throw boat parties and things that 19-year-olds weren't doing. Okay. It was kind of like, you felt very powerful. You felt like, yeah, I'm creating something, and I'm creating something for people to enjoy, and they're loving it. And I loved it. Like, it was it was weird. It was like, we've got the power. All these people have paid to come to our event. And you
realised this, and so you realised this through doing. What degree was this in events?
So this was I was doing this. I can't remember whether this was right at the end of studying. Like, I did my year and a half, but it was kind of in that period of time where I was like, I don't know what to do. I've dropped it out now. I don't know what to do.
So this was kind of a work vocational kind of thing.
So it was in my spare time. He was in uni, I was in uni. So it was like in my spare time, and I'm like, right, I don't want to study any more Sophocles or whatever we was doing at the time. It was nice to be able to make money and enjoy what you're doing. So and we did it as a collective. So it wasn't just the two, it was like a group of us that was doing it. I was like, I love this. Right. It was nice, all of the different people playing their roles. Okay. And my role in that whole thing was, I was the face. So I was a person that at 19 would go into these big venues, and because I act, I'd pretend that I had all my, stuff together, and I'd be like, right, so we want to have a look at the venue, and I would play this role, and they would buy it. Like, but because at the time the other people in the collective were all black males, and if they go to the venue, they're gonna look like they're gonna bring in a crowd that perhaps the police will maybe have to shut down the event. Wow. They don't want any trouble. They don't want to have their license revoked and things like that. But no one threatened. No one feels threatened by
but there was
the girl in the pencil skirt.
Yeah. I get that. And there was a period at which point where you did reconnect with uni, right?
Yes. So when I did that, I liked it. And I said, well, I want to learn a little bit more. So I was encouraged by that boyfriend to go and study it.
Okay.
So I went to London Met and I studied events management and PR. Completely different to...
Events management and PR, yeah?
PR.
Okay.
So it was more the business side of things, the marketing side of, you've got a little, you know, you've got the marketing modules, you've got the, you know, the quite broad business modules, you know, like accounting and things like that. So I found it quite interesting, but again, I'm more of a practical person. So and I'm a practical person, and if I'm going to study anything, I like the reading into it. What does the real rebels mean? What does it, you know, I'm that kind of person.
Okay.
I like to be able to write and actually find meaning in things. I'm that kind of person that would ponder on something and say, no, you know, it means this, and it's, you know, that more appealed to me than accounts. Let's just be honest. It was just not my ministry.
Okay.
But I passed.
And
I got my, you know, my degree.
So in terms of the whole process, right, of looking back, if you was to look at this, because there were kind of 3 points, wasn't there? First, initially you started wanting to do an audition, right, at a very prestigious, right? Then obviously you ended up going to study another course. And it's cool because I think this happens for people, right? Sometimes people in student life, university life, sometimes you're not sure about what you want to do. And I guess what I wanted to ask you is, what advice would you give somebody who's in that position? Young, I'm assuming you were talking about 19, so you must have been 18.
So I was
straight
18, fresh out of college when I studied the first course. And I feel like I saw the difference between the students whose parents were there guiding them and the ones that were winging it, because there was no pattern, there was nobody guiding them through, or there was nothing that they had seen that they're trying to now, you know, the pattern. There's no blueprint, you're just winging it and trying to figure it out. I feel like the people winging it and figuring it out, unless they had a clear pathway, like, I'm gonna do this, like they had it clued up. There were some people, even at 16 when I was in college, they were like, so I'm gonna just go and live in Japan for a year. And I was like, what? At 18 when you leave? What? There were some clued up people. I knew what I wanted to do. It's just that you just needed someone to kind of hold your hand a little bit. Okay,
so kind of like a mentor, guidance.
Or, for example, I've seen people that are, for example, they're professionals themselves, so they're constantly guiding their children through every stage. If their child says, I want to do drama, or I want to do media studies, they're like, right, so this is what we need to do. These are the people that you need to meet. So you're constantly being guided. Get a mentor, kind of a coach, and not in a formal sense, but somebody who maybe has an interest in what you're doing and you trust their opinion. Sometimes an 18-year-old, or you know, whether it's between this age of 16 to 18, when you're trying to figure out what you're actually going to do after college, you're not going to know where to even find those things. I was fortunate that I went to a sixth form college. So with I didn't get flung out. I wasn't like flung out there into like the real world. You kind of had that like you had somebody that you could sit down and say, well, I really like sociology and but I want to, and they were like, why do you have to choose between the two? You know, you had that after that, it was the real world, and you just kind of have to figure it out. So I feel like it's okay to not have it all figured out. There are so many people that don't have it figured out. I am glad that I studied the 2 courses that I studied.
Okay, so even though you may not have finished...
There were aspects about the first course that I absolutely loved. It just wasn't really what I wanted to be doing. So if I was doing that, and you know, you're doing your performances, and I would have no issue with doing that. Like if there was like a double, you know, like I did the events management and PR. If that was a double course or something, and I was able to get what I wanted out, you know, that side of it, and also get, you know, the theory and stuff behind it, I would have been fine with it.
And so you completed, and let me get this straight, you graduated from London Met, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
So what was, at that university, was there a sense of kind of belonging? Did you feel a sense of belonging or a part of a community at the university?
I never, with Roehampton, I never ever invested in the social scene.
Okay.
I was friends with people and we did things outside of uni. It was completely different when I went to Roehampton. I was in there, like, I don't know whether I was like, well, it's now or never. I want to have the uni experience, and well, I've kind of obviously come away from that course. Here's a new start, let's get involved, because I enjoyed myself.
So it was all good. That's Roehampton.
That was at Roehampton.
So what about London Met? Were you
no,
graduated?
sorry. So Roehampton, I never invested.
Oh.
I'm saying at London Met,
you
I invested in
okay.
that whole social scene.
The whole social
the balance.
thing.
But I had 2 jobs.
Wow.
And I was trying to keep up with the social scene. And
so when you say the social scenes, were you involved in like the unions, the social gathering, the events?
No, I was involved in the events,
club nights,
not the unions.
Okay.
I think it's good to kind of have a taster of all these different things.
Okay.
I felt like I had that taster because I was probably a little bit when I was at London Met, was a little bit more invested in my then boyfriend's uni. So whenever I'd go there, it just was a little bit more fun. Okay. They had the ACS.
And
I would go to certain things. I felt like I was like an honorary member of the uni, even though I didn't go there.
Even though you didn't go there.
It was Brunel. Like they had it. I loved being a fake student. Is it?
So at London Met, you didn't get involved in any of the
student bodies,
student unions,
no,
or none of that.
I wasn't so much interested in. I feel like I also had a lot going on because I had the 2 jobs. So I had 2 retail jobs at the time.
So you didn't have time to physically commit and to go along to those.
What I would say about even having jobs during I feel like when parents are able to support, if they're able to
financially,
and it's not always going to be the case, it means that you don't have that burden. If I was in a position where I had 1 job because you just want a little change, whatever, not because you needed to. I had a friend also, she had 2 jobs. She would work in the evenings. Oh no, I think she at one point had 3 jobs. She had a babysitting job. She had a job that she'd work on the Saturday, and she had like this she was working in a restaurant of some kind. Okay. Because her travel, she was coming in from Reading, and her fare was like £300 a month. So that's not even keeping your survival. And her parents earned too much for her to be able to get all these loans and whatever else, the student loans. So she had to work.
So there's something about being able to really be supported by your parents, or having that to take that stress.
You can focus
on your studies.
Fully on your studies. And I feel like there are some people that get it done and they're able to come up with the first, and they would have had their 6 million jobs. Okay. But there are other people that need a little bit. Not everybody's the same. Okay.
So find a mentor. Have kind of a guru to support you in terms of guiding you.
Have a clear direction to where you want to go. So if you're saying, oh, I want to do, for example, events management and PR, well, where are you trying to go with that? Okay. What job, like, are you trying to own your own events company?
Have a plan.
Have a plan of like an A-B, like where we're traveling with that. Okay. What's the end goal? Okay. If you were to look at yourself in like 10 years after uni or whatever, what would be the ultimate role you would be? Would you be the CEO? Would you be the director of? Would you, would it be that you're thinking, this is just going to be a stepping stone to get to another course or something else that I needed those credits for? Sure.
So when you went to London Met, were you saying that you just literally, so was it just uni, work, home? Or, in terms of the community, was there a sense?
It was like uni, playing around. We would play. We would have our moments. Like we would have lunch together. There was a massive group of us. We used to all hang out.
Some people can relate to that. Yeah.
We used to all hang out, but then we would have our little cliques outside of that. So it was a big group of us that studied, the course, and you'd have little offshoots of those, and we'd all get together at the uni rave at the hub.
Okay, how important was that to you staying on at uni? Was that a key part of you staying there?
I was invested. I was invested in my friends. There are friends from that uni that I will probably have forever. Forever. Like, shout out Emily.
Bless you, Emily. Bless you.
Forever.
Alumni. Bless
and
you.
it was literally like we both, for example, that friendship, it's like we both sat down next to each other the first day of uni, and we were kind of like, oh, I'm a bit, you know, like we were a bit unsure, like what's happening.
Yeah.
And it was like instant friendships. You could just see instant friendships because we all had to kind of rely on each other.
Sure.
We didn't stay on campus. I've never stayed on campus. I was the honorary member of Brunel, so I stayed on that campus.
With your boyfriend.
Just gonna skip past that. But I never ever stayed on campus. And another aspect of I think that was another aspect of uni life that I feel like I wish I had done.
Okay.
Again, I was a bit too scared to like leave my mother. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a bit too much. But I feel like if I had done, it would have. I feel like those experiences catapult you into figuring things out. You need to have spent all your money and go, oh my gosh, I have no food. I'm not going to do that again. You need to kind of have those moments where you get your student loan and you blow it and you go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah,
it's
so
kind of
you
like,
learn. Yeah.
Where I feel like you can see the difference between the people that didn't really get to have that true independence during their uni life. They're so different to the people that do.
So you really valued that experience.
I did move out, and I think it was the last year of uni. I was out of my parental home, but I feel like had I been on campus, like I just felt like I just was like, oh, this is a bit too much, and neither did my friend. Okay. She commuted every day. I don't know how she did it from Reading every day because that's long.
That's a trick.
It is, but yeah, I just enjoyed that balance of the friendships, the partying, seeing people get completely
wasted
and go, oh, that is never going to be me. Yeah. But I mean, and then it was you, and then you move on.
But that's all a part of it, isn't
it's all a part.
You get wasted. You get up rolling to lectures in the morning.
I'm not saying that people have to, because some people are against drinking for all different reasons, and they don't have to. It's about being a part of this, learning about yourself. What do you actually like? What don't you like? What kind of people do you not want to be around? What kind of people do you really want to be around? Getting it wrong, being heartbroken by betrayals of whatever. It's the whole experience. And I think that for me, university is beyond the paper. I feel like university for me was the experience of being around people that I would have never been around growing up in Plumstead.
Okay, so almost meeting new people, experiencing
all over. Whether they were from Belgium, whether they were from literally all over the world. I literally met people from all over the world, and it just opens your mind up to new things. You're now going, okay, don't know anything about. You're gonna start asking questions. Don't know anything about this person or their culture. Let me get to know them a little bit better. Oh, you're nothing like what I thought you were going to be. How can you have all these like notions about people and you've never really had them, experience to like know how they are, their culture, what are their belief systems? Maybe they're a lot more like me than. So
that was really enriching for you in terms of that added to the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's interesting because what we're finding in some studies have revealed, right? So I'm going to get a bit academic now. So some studies have revealed that basically groups, and we're talking about ethnic groups or certain groups, stick to their own at university. So hence why I was asking about a sense of belonging, but it's actually nice to hear that wasn't your experience. I
feel like it can be like that. There are going to be people that even in workplaces, I've just had an experience working in HR, and you do find that maybe somebody from a like BAME group or whatever are gonna more wanna, because it's like, oh great, you understand me.
Okay.
What's this about? Or you know what I'm saying? Or you might find that it could be that you like the same types of music, or you're like, oh my god. Or for me, it's all about the reality shows. Like if I find that somebody, I'm just like, oh, we're connected, we're kindred spirits. I didn't know you watched that. Do you know what I mean? And if you watch Emmerdale and Coronation Street, then I know we can be EastEnders, it's never.
But
however, if you want to book me for a job, I would never turn down EastEnders. But for me, it's but
just when it's a plug that let you know I'm interested.
Maybe we need to cut that part
I'm
out.
available.
I mean, I always watch EastEnders. Totally want a job EastEnders, but all Hollyoaks. I'm just saying. But anyway.
That's where Idris started, I think, you know.
Just putting it out there, really?
Yeah, Idris. I think he not Holly. No, sorry, Family
Affairs.
That was it. Sorry.
Channel 5 and Channel 5
Yeah, back in the day.
came out.
Yeah. Sorry, not Hollyoaks. It was Family Affairs.
I love soaps.
Yeah. Family Affairs.
I don't watch them as much now because I'm busy trying to be prosperous and stuff.
That's
and,
right.
You know,
so you got time. You're too busy.
So now what
for
I
that.
do instead, I just watch reality TV on my laptop.
That's it.
Trade one thing in for the other.
That's it.
No, I'm joking. But no, I'm not joking.
No, you're not. It's the reals.
But yeah, I feel like there are some truths to people sticking to cliques. I do feel like, but at London Met, we were like the group, the collective, and the collective went beyond people on the course. So there were people that were studying one of the sports courses, like sports therapy courses,
sure.
And because they all had a business management element, we all intertwined.
Okay.
So it would be like they might have been studying the sports therapy and marketing, for example, or whatever it is.
So there was overlap.
So we got to know so many different people that, I mean, I'm not really particularly sporty or whatever.
Sure.
You would be mingling with people that were from different that had different interests than you did, and we had Turkish people, Somalians, English, Caribbean,
all
every kind, Nigerian. Literally, we just had fun. It was just we had a little laugh. We helped each other with areas that we needed to maybe help each other.
Sure.
It was really nice. I'm not gonna lie. I loved it.
And it sounds really like it's been a great experience, you know, reflecting on that. But were you aware, just slightly bringing you up to speed, were you aware that there was a BAME kind of attainment gap in university? And what I mean by that, just to clarify, so basically, if someone who's considered BAME, so non-white, is to start on their journey to university, right, along with their white counterparts, what recent statistics is saying nationally, so this is across the board, that actually, as white students start, we're saying around maybe 82% of those are likely to leave with what's considered a good degree. And a good degree would be a 2-1 or a first.
Okay.
Right, upwards. So for those white students that start, by the end of their degree, 82% of them, of those that started, are going to walk away with a good degree. Right, 2-1.
I can see that being
class,
true.
Right? However, when we look at BAME, and particularly when we look at the African Caribbean or those of African heritage and background, it's a different story. Currently we're seeing that there is around, for those that start, we're looking at maybe around nationally maybe 53% of them.
Whoa, that's a big.
When they start the journey, like with their white camp, by the end of that degree they're leaving with 2 2s or lower.
This is the thing of that. But I feel like if you are maybe Nigerian or Ghanaian, you are not walking home with no 2 2, because you might have to. Where are you bringing that?
Okay.
Compared to maybe a Caribbean person.
Okay.
So I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, the statistic might need to be broken down. So BAME is a big, broad.
But when we're looking at, so when I say African, loosely African Caribbean, we're looking black. Those who identify as being from the continent or being Caribbean.
I know, but I feel like if you divided that up, it would still be different, because there is an expectation.
Yeah.
There's a different expectation between the two groups.
But why do you think that? I mean, and I'm not asking you to provide all the answers but why do you think that may be, in terms of why there's such a gap? Because it's a massive thing at the moment. I don't know if you was aware of it, but it's a big thing in terms of the higher education sector. Maybe you wouldn't be, because that's not
really
your area. But but it is a big thing at the moment.
I feel like from a sociological point of view, could I say that? Oh, that was a bit of a tongue tie. Because I love sociology. It's one of my other loves that I didn't get to pursue, or I felt like I didn't have time to. A lot of sociologists would say that perhaps people who are of what did you say, white? Did you say their white counterparts were thing? They are being taught by people that maybe look like them.
Okay.
Their parents might already have certain professions, not all, but they would already.
Okay.
So they already sometimes have a blueprint. With a lot of Afro-Caribbeans, they might be the first in their family to go to university. With maybe their white counterparts, it's not always the same, but they might be. It's like, oh, we all went to university. It's, you know what I mean? They've already got certain things. You know, sociologists sometimes also say that the teacher and the pupil might both come from middle class backgrounds compared to. So you've got to look at class sometimes. It sounds really, I don't know how people say that, but you've got to look at the backgrounds, where the family life, the gender. A woman from Afro-Caribbean is going to do completely different to a male, in my opinion.
Okay.
Or even in general, like, I feel like in education, if we're going to look at it, black males and black females don't do the same. Why is that?
Okay. So you're saying we need to delve further into those numbers, and to understand that
I feel
a bit
like
more.
Because there are so many. There are first generation. Like my parents, my mum would have gone back into education when I was probably in secondary school. So I'm like the first of my. Yeah, all my cousins, like we've got a few of us that went to university. We're the first.
What if I was to tell you that based on the statistics and what's come back, actually, I take on board what you're saying, socio-economic factors play a part. But what if I was to tell you that actually, based on what statistics are showing us, is actually, regardless of the socio-economic background. So, for example, let's assume that this is a person of colour, of someone of African heritage who has been to university. They've come from a family of those that previous generations have been to university.
How many of them are there though?
Hold on. They're a middle class, because trust me, the stats says otherwise.
Okay.
Middle class, they have middle class backgrounds, which would suggest they're from families where they're considered to be having parents from professional backgrounds.
Yeah.
So there is a blueprint for them also that's there, right? And also their attainment is higher from their A levels. So these are your kind of A students, A stars, Bs, those that are actually achieving. So they know about achieving, they have the background, they have the resources and investment in them. However, what's being revealed by the statistics, which isn't widely publicized, I'll add, is that they're actually still not doing as well.
I don't believe that just as many Afro-Caribbeans and their white counterparts have the same. I don't believe if you had 100, it wouldn't be 100 of one, it wouldn't be 100 of the other. It wouldn't be.
But would you accept that statistically, what I'm saying is socioeconomic factors doesn't play a part?
I don't accept that.
You don't accept that? Even the stats say it differently.
Just the same way that the system is not designed for women to just, like, we have to fight. I feel like it's the same for other people, whether it's BAME or... the system is designed sometimes for, and it can be considered to be a little bit, out there or...
Okay.
But I feel like the system is designed for a certain sometimes type of person to excel. Otherwise we wouldn't be pushing this. We got to have like I said, I've just come from a workplace where it was like, oh, we need to retain the BAME. If that was you wouldn't have to do that. If there is less BAME maybe even applying. Like I spoke to one of my friends.
Sure.
And she's like, when she's working in Hackney, which is a multicultural, and she goes into the workplace and it's all English or white, so it doesn't have to be that they are from England, that live outside of the area that they've employed. So I said to her, so how do you know that people from the area even applied for the job? And she's saying, well, that's got to be a problem then. Why is it that no one in the area, why don't we dissect that? Why is no one in the area either going for those type of jobs? What's happening in the area where they can't flourish or get to that? it's got to be something that we look into, no?
So what I'm hearing in the subtext and what you're saying is literally from the university's perspective or institute, it says more about the institution than it does the individual.
I don't want to blame the institution. I feel like there are things that will stop the same amount of people even going into the university. If you are like the first of your generation, and let's be honest, a lot of the time it is that you're the first of your generation.
Yeah.
Maybe the second of your generation. It isn't that 5, 6, 7 generation. It's not like that. So already you're it's not equal. It isn't. Yeah. We can't pretend. I mean, my grandma was one of the Windrush. So it's never, do you know what I mean? And how many others are like me? So my grandma wasn't at university. That's not, it wasn't her portion. That wasn't that wasn't the hand that she was dealt. She had to graft. But my generation, so the cousins and everybody in my, we were given opportunity because it was a completely different situation for us. So then now you would expect that our children but we've not been here long enough.
Okay. Because I think there is something, and I know you don't want to necessarily, I know you don't want to apportion blame to the institutions, and I get that. I do think the stats speak for themselves in the sense that you made a comment earlier about certain systems being designed to favour certain groups.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of what I'm seeing particularly, because I work in that kind of areas, hence Lounge Academics, this is why we're doing this. But there is something to be said about the way that people feel, particularly people of colour, feel about them being reflected in the curriculum.
Yeah.
And what I mean, there's been a lot of calls lately to decolonise the curriculum, meaning that it's often very Eurocentric, it's westernised.
Very middle class or upper middle class. None of my lecturers were ever BAME. I had not one in any of the universities that I went to.
Is that important, do you say, for...
Yeah, we're not... You don't understand me. And I don't understand you.
Okay.
Or I'm more likely to understand you more because there has been, you've had more, whether it's on TV, you've had more representation, but you're not going to understand me.
Okay.
And whether it's in primary school, whether it's in secondary school, where you need people, even in the workplace, you need people to be able to identify with. You need to be able to feel like, oh, you get me. Okay. And if I'm speaking, I will talk to you.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe I would talk very differently on the phone to my mum than I would do at work.
Sure.
And I talk slightly differently to my friends than how I would do maybe to my work colleagues. Sure. It would be very. And do you understand that? Sure. Do you get that? Or when, for example, if I'm at work and I'm saying something, do I have to now take out my dictionary and explain to you what I'm saying? Like, oh, what's that? And you get a lot of that, and it's natural, but we don't have the same playing field.
Sure.
We're getting there, but we don't have the same playing field.
So there's something about seeing yourself in your teachers, your lecturers, that reflects you. I guess there's something about the curriculum and maybe the reading material that's presented to reflect maybe authors from kind of BAME kind of backgrounds as well.
And if we're going to look at, obviously, what I mentioned, like, for example, Afro-Caribbean girls versus Afro-Caribbean boys. Like, I've got a boy and he goes to a nursery and he has only female black teachers that will reflect him in some kind of way. Okay. There are no males. There are white males, and there are of different variations of different ethnic, like it could be that it's Greek or Italian, but there is nobody that looks like him. Okay, so nursery. So sometimes, how many of that sometimes are we getting though? Is that going to be a pattern throughout his, academic?
So that needs to be looked at and to be checked.
Like if I was to look at my school, I had one male black teacher the whole way through my school. Okay. As in the whole entire time I was there. Okay. And he was slightly eccentric, but he did the job. He was good. But I mean, and then we had maybe a few black ones. There were majority of the teaching staff were from a middle class, so there was always a barrier, and unless you knew how to kind of work the system and talk, and if you were not able to do that, you'd
be left and not expected much of. Okay. So as a result of your university experience, how much of your degree and what you've done relate to what you're doing now? So I know there's a Jade and Kesra show.
Yes.
You're a very busy mummy.
Yes.
How does that relate to what you're doing now?
Okay, so I feel like everything I've ever done is relating to what I've done now. So the working in retail forever, like I worked in retail for like 10 years, as well as other jobs. I've worked in an estate agent. It's just been a lot of different things. But that aspect of like customer service, selling, understanding what females especially want, what makes them feel good, you know, like what will make them, like what do they need to see in order for them to have the vision of that will look good on me. And sometimes it is literally having it on will make them go, oh, I like that. Like learning the psychology behind women buying. Oh, I did all of that.
And that's what feeds into Shop Angel Orion, yeah?
Yes,
Orion, sorry. Orion.
Kesra with a Z.
It's
Orion.
really interesting because should I say this? But it's really interesting because there's someone who I know.
Yeah.
And originally I pronounced his name Orion and it was
they
Orion.
corrected.
It corrected and it was Orion because it's Greek. So he's like, it's Orion. No, that's how I thought, okay, cool. But it's interesting, very interesting.
I've heard it pronounced both ways, but so it's Angel Orion is the actual the fashion brand. And for me, it was like a long time coming for that. I like the dressing up. I like people feeling good. I like you thinking, oh, I'm not too sure about that. And then you're like, oh, actually, it looks really good.
It looks all right, yeah.
Like, I like the experience of women coming into the shop. Yeah. Well, I don't have a shop, but I'm talking about when I was working in retail. Yeah. So everything's online and, you know, internet-based for the brand. But when I had customers coming into the shops, I loved that whole customer service, the rapport you build with the women, the trust that they have with you because you've built that rapport. If you say to them, this is the latest watch, and because I've done shoes, clothes, watches, the whole, and you know, this is the latest watch, it's lovely, and they've seen it on you and they're like, oh, actually, I really like that. Do you know what I mean? So that I feel like has led to, obviously, you know, it just felt natural for that to be, you know, the next step for me, business wise. And then with the Jade and Kesra show, I've always come up with these weird, like, it's coming up with these weird scenarios, or like funny scenarios. That's part of it. And then it would be actually living these scenarios or being told these hilarious stories and going, that would actually be hilarious in like a show. So it's a combination of a couple of things. So for me, I used to always go on my Facebook and be like, oh my gosh, guys, you would never, and it's just writing. Sure. It wouldn't even be a video of me saying it, but it would just be me writing it, going, oh my gosh, guys, you would never believe what happened to me last night. My exhaust only went and fell off in the middle of the street and I didn't even notice it fell off, and I was hearing this, but like I would give the whole, and people would be like, oh my gosh, that is so hilarious. It's just, I like to tell stories. Sure. And a lot of it is, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, because it's like, would anybody believe that my exhaust fell off, you know, on the way back from a club with my friend, and I didn't know the exhaust was hot, so I picked it up
and burnt off your hand.
Burnt my hands. And she's all the way down the road screaming, laughing, left me to pick up the exhaust, and I have to drag the exhaust back to the car and put it on the seat, and the exhaust is like sticking out the window. Just natural comedy. So it's just that, or somebody might say to me, oh, this happened to me, you know, my boyfriend, I found out the first night he stayed over, he sleepwalks and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, so where can we go with that? Like,
taking
what,
those
you know,
scenarios and bringing it into
just
fun.
I guess laughing at life.
Yeah, of course.
Laughing at life. Some of those situations are not nice or whatever that might happen. It's just spinning it. Like, can we take a really, a situation that might be a bit dramatic and actually make it funny, or see the funny in it? Sure. So that's where the Jade and Kesra show came from, and I've always kind of like dabbled in writing, whether it's for stage and whatever else. So that organically happened.
Cool. So what I want to do in terms of wrapping up, right? Yeah. Just a quick little game that I want to do with you, right? Okay. And what this is called? No, you're not going to be scared. It's going to be cool. So this is called Lounge Academics First Class or Epic Fail, right? So simply what you got to do is I'm going to read out a statement to you in regards to university life, and you've got to simply got to answer whether you were first class, meaning that you were top at it, or you was an epic fail.
Okay.
Right? Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
So get into lectures on time.
Epic fail. I'm late to everything.
Terrible.
It's
and
just,
all proud as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm Kesra Allie, and I'm late.
Cool. Not cool, but I hear that.
Cool.
So, keeping your partner happy while studying. Were you first class or were you an epic fail? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Quick.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, first class.
First class. Okay. Having a social life whilst at uni.
First class.
Okay. Doing your reading before lectures.
During the lecture, epic fail.
Meeting deadlines for assignments.
First class.
First.
Unless you've got mitigating circumstances.
Wow, that's deep, you know. Oh no. Oh no. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Being active in your student union.
Oh, epic fail.
Epic fail.
Epic
oh,
fail.
Terrible. That's wrong.
I mean, I can't do everything. The 2 jobs and the something had to give.
Kesra,
had to give.
It's been emotional. Thank
Has
you.
it?
It has. Thank you.
You are welcome.
And
it's my pleasure.
you know, as I said, for those that are tuning in, subscribe, press the subscription button on YouTube, and hit the notification bell. Speak to you soon. Lounge Academics. Thank you. Woo! Thank you.